Good day, everyone. Welcome back to another interview here at the Obstacle Racing Media YouTube channel. Full podcast will be up in the next few days. First, I want to thank some Patreon members. This is a good time to do that. But actually, before I do that, I want to mention something. I just went downstairs to my local Starbucks. Have you noticed the phrase, welcome in, that they say to you when you enter a Starbucks? I'd like to say to anyone who's listening that may work for Starbucks corporate, it's not a phrase anyone uses. The first 10 or 20 times I heard it, I was confused, but rather than be embarrassed about it, I just kind of waved back. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. What are you saying to me? Welcome. That's a phrase. That's a real phrase you might say to someone that comes into your shop. Welcome. Can I get something for you? Good morning. How can I help you? Something like that. Welcome in has never been a phrase ever for anyone. Lose it. Does it bug you as much as it bugs me? Please let me know in the comments or a DM. I am baffled where this corporate phrase came from. Now it's time to thank all of the patrons. I don't know that I've ever done this. Here is all 185 of them. That's right. 185 of you are currently supporting this channel with your hard-earned dollars. I'm doing a Bill Clinton thing now. I did not have sex with that woman. You're doing great. You guys mean a lot to me. You're helping this thing grow together. We're launching new shows. We're launching more videos if you haven't noticed. All of it helps support the media conglomerate and my kid's cereal. Obstacle Racing Media here. For as little as $2 a month, you can now contribute. And we now have special deals for yearly programs. So if you want to give $2 a month, pay for a year, you'll actually only be charged 11 times 2. What's 11 times 2? You'll be charged $22. Math is hard for me. Anyway, thank you so much, patrons. You get early access to things. You get exclusive only things. We've got our own little chats that we do on Zoom occasionally. It's awesome. Please join us on the Patreon. Now let's get to Rich Ryan and this thing called the Obstacle Racing Collab. Away we go. So when we first talked, I was a bit skeptical because many of us have seen these sort of teams kind of come and go. Some friends get together, they make a cool jersey, and hey, we're going to get sponsors, and let's see if we can get Legend Born to throw us a discount or whatever. And it's like, we don't need it. A, it doesn't really do anything for anybody, and B, it's like, who cares, so what? And so I was skeptical, but Rich Ryan, I can change. Okay, I can admit a mistake, and if I can change, you can change, we can all change.
If I can change,
Я думаю, что каждый тоже изменился
and
сегодня.
you can change,
Вы можете измениться.
everybody can change.
Каждый может измениться.
We started messaging, and I was like, well, tell me about this. And I was like, because I do like I know a lot of those athletes. I like them. You've got a lot of folks, and everybody's got to do a little bit of lifting, or you're going to end up doing all the lifting. I think that would be my concern if I was you.
Yeah. Yes, I'm definitely taking on, it's a big endeavor, right? And like the idea, so let's talk about like what you mentioned before, like in terms of what the difference in my vision for this would be in terms of a team that just kind of like gets together and trains together, and then they're Honey Stinger ambassadors, and that's cool. Like there is no, like the camaraderie that comes along with obstacle course racing and having people that are like-minded, like that's one piece that people love about this sport. So of course they're gonna like band together, and if they can like have their efforts recognized by a company or it's something that is useful to them, like, yeah, of course, right? Like if you're spending money and you're spending time out there, and if you can represent something you like, that's great. But for these athletes, and for myself included, like we're there to perform well, right? And like everybody's really, really invested in this. And at this point, everyone's already does travel and goes places. They already have their favorite shoes, their favorite nutrition, everything is kind of in place for them. They're good athletes. So it's not necessarily about getting anything. It's about getting better results within the team itself. So like if there are sponsorship opportunities, like we're lucky to be able to be picky with them, because like we want it to be something that is going to help that is something that we identify with, is going to be something that is going to help our performance, is going to help the community, is going to help the reach of our team to help like inspire other people. But ultimately we just want to get faster. Like no one on this team could care about getting a shoe 50% off shoes, like if they're not getting podium level results. Right.
Right.
So that's like the crux of it. Everybody just wants to do well.
I like that. I like that attitude. And I would say we always, we're clamoring for new blood, right? Like I watch a 2018 show on YouTube and I'm like, well, it's the same damn people still on the podium. So until Ryan Atkins starts getting a little bit older, maybe, right? So I think now is a good time to start putting in the work, and in a couple years, you find your way closer and closer to the podium as you continually improve. I mean, even the guys like Kempson, like was there, he just hadn't put it all together yet. And then like he showed up to Jacksonville, not last year, but the year before, and was like, oh, here, I won. I just beat the best. So that's the kind of leap you're talking about, right?
Exactly. And there's definitely, like, the way I see it, it's not the only reason, but it's a big reason that the athletes who stay on top year over year, race after race, it's just like they have more resources available to them in terms of ability to have a sustainable lifestyle as an athlete, where, everyone on this team has a job. We all can't train full time, and athletes that can train full time, I mean, like, that's a huge advantage. And in a sport where there's only, what do you think, like 8 people who are full-time athletes, right? Like, so they should be getting better results. And so
can you
it's
name
just
them?
another
Can you name them? It really, I mean, we kind of all know that, but to hear you say that, it's like, wow, it's like we are that small that it really is. So Ryan, Lindsay, Nicole, Rhea, I mean, although she coached.
I think Rhea works at a gym now. Yeah.
Okay. Who else? Hunter. Right. And Hunter isn't even really in our sport yet, right? He still hasn't come back full time to our sport to just OCR.
Yeah, we're taking him.
Right. We'll take him. Who else who only does this for a living?
I don't know. What was
Joe DeSena?
Mike Morris. I don't know what Killian's situation was. I know he's still.
No, he's active duty.
I know he's active duty.
They just moved him. He's in
Yeah.
Virginia now because he was training with Makita.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think Kent was until COVID. I don't know. And like
the point is, it's really hard.
It's really hard. And even like, so like for those athletes, like, it's a big advantage, right? And like the sport, it is so small that there isn't that many resources to help the athletes who are the ones who are going to help push those ones at the top. And ultimately, I think that's how, as athletes, we can help the sport grow, is to push those athletes so that it looks more compelling, and there's more voices that can be out there, and those people can extend their reach. So like creating this team is essentially a resource that didn't exist before, in terms of training, in terms of support, in terms of camaraderie, in terms of strategy. And that, to me, is the most we could do to help push things forward and help push those athletes at the top, because like no one's going to give us, like, we're not going to exist like a Northern Arizona Elite or like a Bowerman Track Club, right? Where like no company's coming in being like,
well, that's actually the first thing you said to me that made it make sense. So why don't you explain actually what those are? Because a lot of people in OCR might not know what those are. So explain what those two things are.
So in like the professional running scene, there are clubs that live and train together, and they're usually in some sort of mountainous region, and they're sponsored by footwear companies. So like I mentioned, Northern Arizona Elite, which had the woman who won the marathon US trials, and then everybody on like Bowerman Track Club, those are all the best athletes who are setting the records, who are going to the Olympics, and they all kind of like train together. But they have resources to be professional athletes. I'm not sure how lucrative it is. I'm not sure if they're like saving money, but they're able to be professionals and operate in that capacity. And that's kind of what we're thinking here.
We should ask Woods. Woods was on, he calls it the B team. Like when he came out of college,
there was
like the A team in Nike, and he was like on the B team. And
I think it was literally called the farm team. Yeah.
And I don't know if it was just like living stipend or they actually paid you or how that worked. But usually they're young and don't need a lot of money.
And they're the ones who are like, if I can make the team, like, and be around it, it kind of puts them in a better position to then make the jump into the full-time athletes. And I think they just get kind of training resources. I don't think it's a great deal, but like, yeah, someone who's young can go out there and just go after it while they can, if they're right on the tip of that. Right. but there's teams all across. It's not just the Bowerman Elite. It's not just Northern Arizona Elite. There's teams all over the country that exist this way. It's like Timon Elite, Hanson's is another one that you might have heard of. But they are all collaborating together and kind of training under a certain methodology or building together to point themselves to a certain race and just to kind of be around like-minded athletes. So right now, like the best we could do is be a remote team just because of the amount of support that would be out there and the willingness for someone to help come in. Like, obviously that's not something, like I mentioned, we're not looking for that right now. But that is the idea behind this, is that like this type of team exists in other endurance avenues. So I think it should work in obstacle course racing as well.
You know, it just made me think why I like OCR so much. Like, because all those athletes, right? If you get to go to the trials, right? Because you make the 10K standard or the marathon standard or whatever, it's awesome and it's a huge feather in your cap, but you're probably not going to the games, right? You know that on your best day, you're a 220 and the person that's going to go is a 212 or whatever it is, you know? I mean, I'm not good with, but you know what I'm saying? And OCR, that's not the case. Like upsets can happen. And you know, a spear falling out, as much as I hate the spear, really, we'll pick something else, like a wet day, slipping off something, whatever it is, can change things. Let me ask, how did you decide on the members and the number of members, and are you open? That's 3 questions.
So the members themselves, oh, it's snowing. Cool. The members themselves, they are really, I helped with Jack Bauer's system worked a lot. You know, like kind of working on his point system thing.
Sure.
So it was very much people who are in like this certain area of athlete. I also didn't want them to have any type of affiliation with any other coach, with any other brand per se, I guess. Like I didn't want there to be any type of conflict. I wanted it to be athletes who are kind of doing things on their own and they wanted and could use the extra help in terms of training or in terms of camaraderie. But it was very much just people who were kind of on the fringe. Like, so I went through a brainstorm. So I first went to like my friends who are like Nick Reichert, Mark Audette, Josh Reedon, and just pitched them the ideas. Like, what do you guys think? And they're like, totally in. I was like, okay, cool. Like, that's good that there's at least a little bit of interest. And then I just started to do some like cold reach out to some of these athletes who I didn't even know, and just kind of gave them the rundown, kind of what I was thinking. And no one said no. Like I did get some messages. I shot some messages. People like said they're interested and I just didn't hear anything back from them. But if I actually spoke to them, everybody was like, yeah, cool. Like I'm in, let's do it. We decided on like 15 because if there is going to need to be personal attention, I want that to be an option. You know, and if it gets bigger than like, I feel like it was just a nice number to have equal men and women. I would initially was doing 16, but then couldn't find the right fit for like the 8th woman. And then, so I was like, all right, we're just going to move forward with 15. And then it just seems like a good number for a team. There's like no other reason besides that. It's like small enough to have personal attention. It's like, you know, you become like part of a big club and it doesn't feel like you're like part of it. You know, like I belong to a running club here in Philadelphia. There's like 200 people in it. And like, they're all good runners, but like I could meet somebody and not know they're in it. And I didn't want that. You know, I wanted this to feel like tight knit. And are we open? Like, no, not as of right now. So like I want it to kind of be like a year cycle and to see how it works. And I wanted to make it work first. Like, I don't want people to come and be like, hey, it sounds like a great idea. Can I be part of it? And chances are it's like, yeah, like you would be a good fit, but I want to make sure that it's going to work in the capacity that it's in now.
So will you have like, I mean, you have an IG page, we have a website, like, hey, here's where these people are going to be racing this year, like stuff like that.
Yeah, we have the website up and it's more to kind of tell the athletes' stories, having like their profiles up there, where to find them, have some different like interviews and stuff with them on there. Yeah, we'll keep people posted. I think we're going to use social media a lot in terms of like where to find the athletes and where they're going to be going for the races and what their lead up to the race was like, and giving like breakdowns of what the race felt like and some recaps on things like that. So it's going to be a lot driven through social, and we're going to do we're going to test out some YouTube stuff, doing interviews to get people up there, some podcast things, just again, to kind of help tell the story of the athlete.
Thank you so much for watching. I got so excited and heated up while I was talking, and my coffee, I had to get rid of my sweater. So trust me, it's the same day. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and watch whatever's suggested right here. There'll be a little video that says you should watch this next, unless you've already seen it, and then go watch something else. Love ya, miss ya, mean it. I've got to run. That's my tagline.